Hello and welcome to Frightmare HQ. My name is Loyd Cryer and I am your host, and I'm here with
It's Charles Doze. It is me.
Charles Doze. What's up,
I'm
man?
here.
How you been?
Hanging out, thinking about Loyd, thinking about it's Saturday, and we got somebody to talk to today. So
we have a great guest on with us today. Everybody knows this next guest. His name is Kane Hodder. Let's go ahead and bring Kane in here. What's up, Kane?
Hi, boys.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm up at my house in Utah and enjoying the weather up here. It's hot in LA, so we decided to come up here for a while.
What's the weather like?
It's strict too, so it's a little more fun to little more things to do up here.
Right. What is the weather like there?
It's about 75 today, maybe 78. Beautiful. And
wow.
The house is right on the golf course, so I do play golf, and the course is open and the gym is open, so I'm happy to be here. But it's just I miss doing the cons, man.
Yeah, so do we. We
missed you too.
Yeah.
Hey, I never asked you this, either of you.
Yeah.
Did you get shit? Oh, can I curse in this?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Did you guys either get shit about your names when you were young?
I did. We talked about this on the last show we did. We did I don't know if you're familiar with him, but The Wretched, the movie that's out right now in drive-ins, it's #1 in the country right now because there's nothing else out there. But the special effects person, his last name is Porn. Porn.
His real last name.
That's his real last name. And we had quite a discussion about that on the last one, but
I just like bringing it up.
I always did. Everybody called me, they would say Crybaby, and then my first name was Loyd, so I would get called Pink Floyd and
Floyd,
or Floyd Kramer or all kinds.
Everybody just assumes my last name is Does, so I just go by that. And
it does look like that. Sorry,
it does. Yeah, people would be like, "Does Charles do it?" I'd be like, "Yes, he does. I do. It's good. I get it."
What's the origin of your last name, Ned?
I think it's English.
Is it English? Okay.
Yeah, because there are a number of Hodders that live in England that I have met. When I did that film there, and I've done the conventions there a few times, I've met some Hodders, and I've never met Hodders in the States.
Nice.
Huh.
So
I think you're the only Hodder that I know of.
right.
It sounds Swedish or something to me.
Well, I am Swedish. I think.
Okay.
Did I ever tell you that? I'm half Swedish.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, my mom was full-blooded Swede, and my dad was English and Native American. So,
wow, you've got a mix there.
yeah, and then my first name is actually Hawaiian.
Kane is, yeah.
Kane, really, but
oh, is it Kane?
Yeah, that's how it's pronounced in Hawaii. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Kane.
Well, you lived in Hawaii. You grew up there, didn't you?
Well, no, not in Hawaii, but in the Marshall Islands.
Oh, Marshall Islands. Okay.
Even further out than Hawaii. And
all right.
It was an amazing existence. And, I think I talked about this before, or at least in the documentary, that my bullying was at its worst in 7th grade. And right at the end of 7th grade, I moved out to the South Pacific just, by coincidence, and everything was great. No other issues or anything, and it was an amazing existence. And I graduated high school there, and I had 47 students in my graduating class.
Wow,
the biggest ever on the island.
Is that right?
That must have been an interesting place to spend your teenage years.
Yeah, I mean, nothing but sports and academics. No crime, because if you were caught committing some kind of crime, you were ejected from the island. Literally.
Really?
Yeah.
That's one way to keep it under control.
I know.
Get out.
It was a little severe, but that's how it was. It was a military base, the island, essentially. So, yeah. But
before that, you were born in California, correct?
Yeah, Northern California.
And
I've lived in LA in Calabasas for almost 25 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Got a lot of weird neighbors. in the area. Some of them, their name, I won't say it fully, but it starts with a Kardashian. So that family makes it interesting. So,
do you have interactions with them every now and then? Or?
Not really, not too much. I mean, a fairly close neighbor is Sean Astin, and Jerry O'Connell lives in the area, so I see them far more than any of the Kardashians.
Yeah, well, that's probably
that's a positive. So,
I mean,
don't see Kane having.
I don't blame anybody for being successful, but
yeah. But I don't see Kane having barbecues with the Kardashians. I don't know why. I don't see it. Flipping hamburgers. I don't see it.
Well, I'm not sure why you think that. Because of the fact that I can't tolerate people very easily. And by the way, this sounds like a joke, but we have had this house in Utah in Park City since August. And that's quite a long time that we've been back and forth, but here a lot. And I have yet to be in an altercation in Utah. I know it sounds like I'm trying to be funny and sound like a tough guy, but I'm always getting in beefs with people in LA. Here, not at all. So I don't know if it's the people or if it's that I'm more relaxed, but either way, I'm happy. I don't want to go to jail in Utah.
We don't want you to go to jail either.
We don't want you to go to jail anywhere.
That'd be a hard way for us to
stir it up at Frightmare this year. Me and Charlie will go to jail together.
Yeah. We'll go to jail, and then Loyd can call us, and we'll have an interview together in our prison jumpsuits.
When's the last time you punched somebody in the face, Charlie?
It's been a long time. I mean, why? Do you want to fight? I don't want to fight you. I think you'd hurt me.
No, I mean, I won't fight you. I'll punch you in the face. But
all right.
And same with me. It's been a long, long time since I punched anybody, like weeks. So I'm doing pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Weeks.
Kane.
I've personally been choked by you, and it's no joke, man. I mean,
I have too.
You bring it to the verge of being kind of scary.
I'd like to give you something to remember me by.
Kane's like, you want it? You're gonna get it. That's it.
The first time I met you, we set up a booth at the Chicago Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, and we had that was back when years and years ago when I had a DVD business, an online DVD business, and I was selling horror DVDs, and we set up right next to you, and it was a joy. You choked me that weekend, but we had a good time. You had a lot. You're a very fun person.
I do enjoy myself at the shows. Let's just say that, and you can tell the people that do conventions for the money and the people that do them because they like doing them. And hopefully I appear to be in that latter group because I just love doing it. I love meeting people, and it's just so much fun to especially when I hear a question that I've never been asked before. That is so fun to do. That's pretty hard to come up with, but.
What's one of the questions that you can remember being asked that kind of you weren't expecting, or?
Well, I mean, to be honest, and I just recently talked about this on, I have the podcast with Alyssa Rose and Tiffany Shepis called Casualty Friday.
Yeah.
In one of the episodes, for some reason, I talked about it, that someone asked me the question that you would think that no one would ever ask, but someone asked, do you wish you never got burned? And I thought about it for a second, and of course, your first reaction, yes, I didn't want to have to go through that torture and that pain, but it made me a much better person overall, much more sympathetic to other people's issues, and regardless, physical or mental issues, I'm far more empathetic in that kind of thing. And so going through that made me that person. So it was interesting. I said, I can't honestly say I wish it never happened. And, you know, you would think that nobody would ever ask that, but I was really impressed by someone seeing that far past the initial reaction, you know?
Yeah. That is a kind of a deep, insightful, it makes you think about,
Yeah.
and it's that saying, what that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it often does. So hopefully it doesn't make you a worse person, but you know, that can happen too. Because it's all negative, and why did that have to happen to me at 22? I was only 22 years old when it happened. So, and you know, you guys both know I carry the scars over most of my body to this day. So, yeah.
And it was something you didn't really seem comfortable talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is the kind of thing where so many people were curious, and I understand why, but it seemed like it always dominated the conversations early on, and I couldn't understand why people couldn't see past it. But then I started thinking, you know, if the roles were reversed, how would I feel? And I'd probably ask also. So once I realized that it's not unusual, people are just curious, they're not like trying to piss you off or anything, that I decided to talk about everything. And, you know, as you know from the documentary, talking about very sensitive subjects in my life, that's been the best response I've gotten from people that say they've been helped just hearing someone whose work they admire has gone through the same shit as them. They're like, maybe I can do this. So it's, you know, never ending gratitude from me.
Do you think the curiosity stemmed from people looking to connect for, you know, because they had something to relate, a pain in their life that.
Very often, yeah, for sure. Even if it wasn't a physical pain, they would feel often that they had something happen in their lives that they carry with them forever now. And just me. And not only do I have the scars, but I have the mental images and everything that I'll never be rid of. And I think people did wonder, you know, maybe this will relate to him in a certain way. And once, you know, like I said, once I started realizing that, I didn't mind talking about anything, really. I still don't.
Yeah.
It's amazing outlook. I know people really do connect with you, and going back, I mean, everybody who comes to the convention does say how amazing you are. When this happened, I mean, was there a point where you thought maybe you weren't going to do stunts anymore? Or, because I know almost immediately you were back into it, correct?
Yeah, it's odd because I never once considered not doing stunts again. I loved it so much, and this happened so early in my career. I had been officially a professional stuntman for 7 months when this happened. So I loved what I had done to that point. And I did briefly consider not doing fire stunts again. But then even that went away. I thought, you know, it sounds ridiculous, but I always enjoyed being on fire. It wasn't burning me for real.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's impossible to describe unless it's to a person that has been doing fire stunts also. But there's an odd sense of peace when you're completely engulfed in flames, because there's nothing else that you can possibly think about than concentrating on that stunt. And you can't hear anything because the flames are loud. It's odd, but the flames are very loud. So it's almost a peaceful feeling. As long as you don't feel the heat, it's just an odd, peaceful feeling to be on fire. And I don't recommend people setting themselves on fire now.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how do you learn to do fire stunts? How do you learn to do fire stunts? Did you just one day say, I want to do it? Or is there ways you have to build up before you get to there?
Well, I learned kind of by the seat of my pants, trial and error. And that's why I got burned, because I did not have as much knowledge about fire as I thought I did. So I paid the price for that. Then I learned the proper way to do a fire stunt professionally. And it's actually, as long as you do it the way that it's intended to do, it's a pretty safe stunt. Because there's no cumulative damage to your body either. I talk about this in seminars and stuff, that when you make a living, like a couple stunt people made livings jumping cars on the Dukes of Hazzard. And every time you jump a car and you land, there's an impact to your body, whether it's your brain, your lower back, something sustains damage, even if it's not much and not evident at the time. You keep doing that stunt, eventually you're going to really have problems. But with fire, as long as it's done correctly, you're not even sore the next day. Like, you do a fight scene with an actor who's good with fights or another stunt person, you're going to be sore the next day just from doing the fight scene. So that always appealed to me too, to do a big stunt, which is a high paying stunt too, doing fire, and not being sore the next day.
Right.
There's not many days that you work as a stunt person and you're not sore.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of
You
sense.
have to work again through the soreness. So
Go ahead, Charlie.
No, I was just going to ask, just thinking about, the fire incident, is there, on these productions, is there somebody else on set that's looking out for you, or do you kind of have to watch your own butt and make sure you're not doing anything that you don't want to do?
Well, I actually kind of both. As a stunt coordinator, if you have someone to do a fire stunt, and most often if I'm stunt coordinating and there's a fire stunt, I want to do it myself. So I'll bring in really good fire people that also do fire stunts, like a guy named Paul Short is a very well-known stuntman that's very good with fire. I believe he has set me up on every fire stunt I've ever done in a film. And so you bring in stunt people that are knowledgeable about fire, and for your safety, they're the ones that put you out. But you also talk to the special effects people on the set and say, look, would you mind standing by with an extinguisher just in case they can't get me put out? And that doesn't happen too often, but it's a nice peace of mind going into the stunt to know that, well, you got your two main safety guys that are stunt people, and then you got two special effects people that are also standing by in case something goes haywire. So that's how it's typically done. It's you want to be overly safetied on a stunt like that.
Yeah, definitely.
When was what got you into stunt work? I know you did like your first stunt work in when you were 19. Is that right?
Let's see. I was doing live stunt shows before I was actually a professional stuntman. It was a lot of good training, the kind of gunfight type shows that you'd see at state fairs and stuff. You'd see the two cowboys come out and fire blanks at each other. And we would always, it was a group called Yesterday's Guns. And we would travel around mostly in the Reno, Tahoe area. And we would do live gunfight stunt shows. And I would always come up with something at the end. I would be the bad guy up on the roof or something, and I'd do a high fall into my catcher, my landing area. And so it was a lot of good training because, part of being a good stunt coordinator / stunt person is arriving at a set, knowing what you have to do, and then figuring out where to do it safely and most spectacularly as you can for the cameras or the live audience. So it was, kind of on the job training. And every time we'd show up somewhere, I'd figure out what I wanted to do and then just set it up and do it. So that was when I was about, I think I started at about 20 doing that. And then, trying to get into the Screen Actors Guild at that time so I could really be a professional stunt person officially, because you can't, the Screen Actors Guild is what every actor is a member of and every stunt person. It's the same union. So once you get in there, then you can be considered professional. And now it's a matter of trying to get work, which is very hard to do, especially as a stunt person, because there's no auditioning process for stunts. Like you can, as an actor, you could possibly get a role because you did a great audition. But with stunts, you're not hired unless somebody knows you. And then how do you get known if you can't get hired? So it takes a long time to get going.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never thought of it like that. And yeah, I've never thought of it, the fact that you can't audition for it. Somebody just has to know that you can jump things, you can be set on fire. Yeah.
Yeah. The stunt coordinator has to have faith in you. That's why so many successful stunt people are children of previously successful stunt people, because they have a name behind them. Oh, that's so-and-so's daughter or son. Oh, okay. They probably are well-trained, so they give them a shot before somebody that's totally unknown. And I didn't know anybody, so it took a long time.
Yeah. Somebody asked, I want to know what it was like to be on the set of Hard Bodies with Courtney Gaines and Grant Kramer.
That's a great question.
And is Teal Roberts on her in person?
Oh God, that was hilarious, really. I mean, imagine me with my hair is real big, because I have curly hair if I ever let it go long. So my hair is like a big natural afro. I'm wearing capri pants and black shoes on the beach. And I was a little pissed off because I was only like 23 or 24, and my screen credit in the movie is older geek, because everybody else that was in the geek group was younger than me, so I was older geek, and it was just hilarious. Courtney Gaines is funny as hell, and Grant Kramer was just fun to work with. And it was one of the first times I ever had kind of a real character to play. I didn't say much, but it was a character, and we shot it right in LA, right on like Santa Monica Beach and Hermosa and all over the place. So it was a lot of fun. Boy, people know the skeletons in my closet, don't they?
Well, one thing that I've always wondered about, and it might be well known, and maybe I'm just, the one that doesn't know it. Were you in the suit as Big Ben in House?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I was in the gorilla suit. Was that House 2? I doubled
House
that.
2, yeah.
Yeah. I doubled William Catt, oddly enough, in the first House, and stunt doubled him. But Big Ben, the skeletonized version, was not.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was
it's kind of reminiscent of later incarnations of Jason.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a guy that was, I wish I could remember his name, but he was the same height as Richard Mall, but he was a tennis player. So he was thinner so that suit would look better on him.
Ah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's you've got a lot of stuff. How did you make that transition? I mean, and it seems like you were kind of in front of the camera on and off, but was that a goal of yours to be, more of, to be known as Jason? I know that you really did you just end up with the role of Jason, or how did that happen?
Well, I mean, first of all, my biggest goal was just to be a successful working stunt person. I would have been fine if that's what my career ended up being. Then I did, people know this story, but I did a movie with Rennie Harlan called Prison, and Viggo Mortensen was in it. Bill Butler was in it. Yeah. And Ron Buechler was doing the makeup effects on the movie, and I was a stunt coordinator, and I did all the stunts myself, doubled everybody in the movie, basically. And at the end, John said, there's a creature or a character called Forsyth that is going to be like strapped in an electric chair, and he's like a rotted corpse. And have you ever done makeup like that? And I really hadn't. I'd done a little bit of prosthetics here and there, but nothing much. This was full body prosthetics and facial appliances, lenses, dentures, everything. And so I went through, I agreed to do it. I was in the costume, I think only 2 days, but to do the shots that we did. But Buechler liked how I worked in that makeup. And because it's a whole different acting process when you have massive prosthetics on your face. So he enjoyed the performance, and then he was hired the next year to direct Friday the 13th, Part 7. And based on our experience in prison together on the movie, he started campaigning for me to play Jason. And, since the first six movies, nobody had done it a second time. They weren't against considering a new person. They thought CJ did a good job in Part 6, and I thought he did too. So that's why John had to fight a little harder to convince them to have me play the character. And what worked in my favor was that in Part 7, Jason had to do a lot of stunts, the most in any of the movies by far, because she had the telekinesis working for her. So that was another angle. They knew that it's better to have one person play the character throughout instead of having someone do a lot of the scenes and then someone else do all the action scenes. It's not going to be consistent. The performance won't be consistent. So that worked in my favor too. And John finally convinced them that I should do it. And, then based on that film, I was asked to do it a few more times. So it's all to be perfect.
And I know I know the movies are done by different directors. Were you given freedom to continue just how you thought Jason should be, or were the directors trying to pull you in different directions on each of the movies?
No, actually, Buechler had suggestions for me in that one. Then when I did Part 8, Rob Hedden he thought I did a good job in 7, so he was happy to have me come back. And from then on, nobody really tried to give me suggestions about the character, because I think their thinking was, well, wait a minute, who knows more about the character than the guy that's played him now twice? Nobody else has done that. If it was Jason Goes to Hell, thinking that, well, I might have some ideas that I could possibly toss out little tidbits of performance stuff, but they just didn't really interfere. They felt like I had a good feeling as to what the character would do, so they let me just go with it. And I was very grateful of that. And unfortunately, we lost John Buechler and we lost Jim Isaac, who directed Jason X. So those are people that I really miss having them around, because they were great to work with.
Yeah. Well, you brought character to Jason where prior, and this isn't a knock to anybody that played Jason before, because one of my favorite Jasons was Ted White.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I loved him, but you brought so much character with the heaving breaths and the different, face, I don't want to say, it was just body language.
Just the way he carried the role, it was just amazing.
Yeah, that's it's very nice to hear, and a lot of people have told me that. And basically, I just did what felt natural at the time, and if it felt natural to me, I always figured that to an audience, it's also going to look natural. If I try and force something, I think the audience is going to see that and see right through it.
Yeah. Somebody's talking about the SpaceX launch, and they're wondering if we're ever lucky enough to see Uber Jason again. You're going to see him at the next Frightmare.
Frightmare.
Right.
Yeah. There's a
September 11th, I am doing the Uber Jason photo op. I have not ever done it to this point. And I have a couple of limited shows that I'm doing it at, and Frightmare is one of them. So
we were really excited for that opportunity. That was really
I thought when I first put on that costume, and it wasn't even chromed yet with the chrome color. You can find pictures. Somebody just sent me a picture recently when I had the first fitting of the Uber Jason costume, and nothing was silver yet. It was all black. The face, all the pieces on the body were all black. And I looked in the mirror and I said, that looks fucking badass already.
Yeah.
Not even silver yet. And of all the creatures I've ever played, and that's a lot of them in makeups with weird lenses, especially, Uber Jason was the one that freaked people out the most when I would look at them. Something about the lenses that I had made my eyes look so crazy that even people on the crew didn't want to look me in the eye. And, you know, I've played some pretty hideous looking characters besides that, but it was those lenses and that chrome looking face that just unsettled people.
Those lenses they're primal and sort of animalistic. And I think that's, to me, what is so scary about it. It's like, whoa, where did that come from?
And I guess, you know, the color of the lenses combined with the color of my eyeballs made it a weird combination. So, because other people could put those lenses on and possibly not look as bizarre because of their eye color being different. It just kind of, they were very subtle and they had like a yellow kind of iris. Hard to explain, but it was really cool.
Yeah. David Cronenberg is a guest at our upcoming show too, which is going to be super cool.
Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah. What was your interaction like with him?
You know, I got to kill him.
Yeah.
I got to squeeze the life out of him and break his rib cage. So that was pleasurable. You know, anytime that I can kill someone, especially as Jason, kill someone in one of the movies that I'm a big fan of, like Cronenberg or, for instance, Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers was in Victor Crowley. And I'm a huge Impractical Jokers fan. I went on their cruise right before the virus hit. We really cruised to the Bahamas. The Impractical Jokers still a cruise ship with fans. And we went to the Bahamas and we got back, I think, February 14th. So that was pretty much
right on the edge.
Yeah. So anytime I can act with, but especially kill someone I'm a big fan of, it's so rewarding.
Those guys.
I love Impractical Jokers too, and I actually met all those guys by accident like 5 years ago. They all showed up at it was an auction for Back to the Future 30th anniversary, and for some reason they were all there bidding against me on stuff.
Really?
Like, you guys are lucky I like your show.
Yeah, and I did their movie with them too. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
If you've seen the movie. I was a stunt coordinator in it, and I played Paula Abdul's bodyguard. So that was fun. She has a scene where she has to clothesline Sal in the movie, and I was talking to her about it and saying I'm going to get a stunt double for Sal because I really want him to catch it and go flying up in the air and go flat on his back, make it very violent. And I said, I think I should get a stunt double for you too, so he can really look like he really clocked him. And she was like, wait a minute, stunt double? I said, yeah, I just want it violent. She goes, you don't think I can do it? And I said, well, I mean, it's not that you can't do it, but I want it really violent. And she goes, you don't think I can do it? And she goes, stand there for a second. She gave me a forearm to the chest that just about knocked me over. For real. She hit me fucking hard. And I said, okay, you're doing it. And good. So when you see her clothesline Sal's stunt double, that is her doing it.
Somebody has a question. In the part 8 rooftop scene, was he really laying jabs to your face, or was it just choreographed? Because some of those shots look they had some pepper on them.
Okay, so here is the story to that. All of the body shots that he was hitting me with were real. So we both agreed, let's make this as real as we can. So all of the body shots were making contact. The face shots, most of them did not, because I thought it would be worse for him, for his knuckles to hit the hockey mask than it would be for me to accept the blow. So almost all of, I think a couple of them, he came close and kind of popped the hockey mask a little bit, but all of the body shots were real. Most of the face shots were just movie punches.
Yeah. Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I just watched that recently. I was going to, yeah. What did you think of that movie?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it because, you know, I'm a big fan of Quentin, first of all, and worked with him once on 4 Rooms, that movie where there was different directors. Quentin, Robert Rodriguez directed a section. And so I worked with him briefly on that. And I was very jealous that Danielle was in the movie. Danielle Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was looking at her IMDb, and when that movie came out, her IMDb went down to like 10, which is unheard of to have it that low. The lower it is, the more popular or well-known you are. But also, I thought Brad was amazing in it. And, you know, I worked with him for quite a while on Seven. And so he was the kind of actor that liked hanging out with the stunt guys.
Nice.
Instead of the actors, because, you know, he's just that kind of personality. So we had a lot of fun working together, and I was there the day he got hurt on Seven. I don't know if you know that story or heard me tell it before.
But I love Seven.
Yeah.
Seven's a great movie.
He chases Spacey out of the building. We were downtown LA, and all the stunt people are in cars that skid and everything when Spacey's double runs across the street, and we all skid, and then Brad starts jumping on cars, a couple of cars, to try and catch up with him. And he jumped off my car and put his hand through the back window of the car next to me and sliced the hell out of his hand. He had to have surgery on it. That's how bad it was. And that's why in the movie, he suddenly has a cast on his arm, and they explain it, some story. I forget how they explain why he suddenly has a cast, but that's why, because he got cut really badly. And what all the stunt people were like, oh shit, it was involved in doing a stunt with us. Are we going to be in trouble? And he was the kind of guy that said, okay, wrap it up. Let's quick finish the scene, and then I'll go to the hospital. And we're all like, hey, that's a fucking stunt guy right there.
Yeah.
So we just admired his way of thinking and his attitude.
So I guess thinking back to, like, you know, how it was in like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, do you feel that, you know, having been in stunts for so long, that nowadays in the world of CGI, is there sort of a loss for the appreciation of stunt workers from a lot of people?
Yes, you know, it's a tough thing because sometimes CGI can enhance a stunt you've done. And then other times it makes it to where the person didn't even have to do the stunt really. And the business has changed. I've been doing it for 43 years, and the business has changed dramatically. And I meet people on sets now that say they're stunt people, and I'll ask them about what kind of stunts they do. And I'm going to sound like the old fucking crotchety old stunt guy that's, you don't know how it was back in my day, but how many times I have talked to people that say they're stunt people, and then I ask them about what kind of stunts, and I say, so do you do fire? Well, no. Oh, okay, but high falls? No. Water work or anything like that? Well, no. Flip cars, drive? No. I said, so what do you do as a stunt person? And it's wire work and martial arts. And once again, the fucking crotchety guy. In my day, you had to try and do everything. Otherwise, you would never work. But now people I'm a stunt person, and you barely do anything. You do wire work. You don't even hit the ground. And martial arts, which is an art, yes, but to me, it doesn't make you a stunt person. But anyway, let's get past that.
I agree with you. I mean, like you said, CGI can enhance, but there's a lot of times where just good old-fashioned stunt work would make it so much better.
Yeah. I like when I see somebody take a hard hit. That makes me, when I'm watching a movie and I go, oh, shit, and that was planned that way, that's effective to me, because that's a stunt.
Can you easily tell in movies? Can you easily tell in movies when something is fake or not actually done or done wrong? Are you able to easily point it out?
Most of the time, yeah.
So it kind of ruins it for you sometimes when you're watching.
I was going to say
a little bit, yeah, it does. But again, I'm not against CGI, but I don't like when it completely replaces having to do the stunt. That's all.
Right. Yep. What about game work? You've done a lot of work for games, especially with the Friday the 13th game that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was, years ago, many years ago, I did a little motion capture for a game, and it never became anything. It was kind of like Jason, but it never became a game officially. But when Gun Media contacted me and said, we'd like you to do motion capture for the Friday the 13th game for the Jason character, I was like honored. And I still will always feel like that, because there's a lot of people that could have done that, and they didn't have to go with me. But it was their opinion that gamers that are also fans of the movies might appreciate the fact that Jason in the game moves the same way as they've seen in the movies, and not just a motion capture actor. And I had done a little bit of it, so I was familiar with the process, but it was an amazing experience. From the first session of motion capture to the final one for the game was 1 year and 10 months.
Whoa.
2 years. And of course, not straight through, just sporadic sessions here and there, but over the course of 2 years to get all that motion capture. And, you guys know that in my portrayal of Jason in the movies, I never thought Jason should run. That was just my own idea about the character. I didn't think Jason should run. I think it weakens the character. So then during the motion capture, and we're doing, several sessions, that Wes and Ronnie, the main guys from Gun Media, came to me and said that, in this game, you're going to be able to play as almost every version of Jason from the films. And I thought, okay, now I know where you're going with this, because if you're playing as part 3 version of Jason, Richard Brooker ran. So I had to do justice to his performance. Even though it was me doing the motion capture, I felt like I had to do what they did in their movies. So I had to run doing some of the motion capture. So it was a kind of an odd thing, but I couldn't just forget about the other performances, because there are other guys that did a good job as Jason, and I wanted to honor their performances. And, with the motion capture, it's an odd sensation anyway, because you're wearing spandex and sensors all over it. and doing violent things. So I didn't quite feel the same, but I figured I'm still Jason, so I'll just be violent with these motherfuckers. And I brought in stunt people, and there's a stunt guy that I used for the motion capture, Ryan Stats, very successful stuntman, who is every single male victim in the game. And no matter who it is that I'm killing, it's Ryan Stats doing the motion captures. So I beat the hell out of him for almost 2 years.
Well, I have a question here from someone. Is there any stunt you haven't done that you want to do?
Boy, I mean, there's only one area of stunts I've never done, and that's because I was never good on a horse. So I kind of wish I had somehow been able to be trained so that I could do some of the horse stunts that so many well-known stunt people have done. But, you know, it's really not that much call for it anymore. So, and even when I was working at my height, I never really had to turn down any horse stunts. But, you know, I don't think there's any stunt that I wish I had done that I didn't get the opportunity to do, because I've been around so long. Almost everything that I ever wanted to do, I was able to do in some version or another.
Horses can be kind of scary. I had a horse when I was a kid that was a Tennessee Walker. And if you know anything about horses,
boy, yeah,
they have this gait. And when I bought the horse, or when my mom bought the horse for me, I had no idea, or nobody knew, but she was what they call barn broke. So you'd get on the horse and you'd ride her for a while and everything would be okay. And then all of a sudden she would take off and haul ass to the barn, and you would have to jump off of her or she'd knock your head off going into the barn.
Wow.
Yeah. And every time I would get on the horse, she would do this. And we finally asked a horse trainer that we knew, and he was like, "Oh yeah, she's barn broke. You'll never fix that."
Oh, so it can't even be changed.
That's what he told us.
Wow. So you've done far more horse stunts in your career than I have. So
Loyd's the horse stunt expert here. So.
I had some crazy horses. I don't know what our problem was with horses that we had, but we had a horse called Thunder, and he had a problem with rearing up on his back all the time, and it was scary. So I never really liked horses, to be honest with you.
They grew up with them. That's my point.
Yeah, they were kind of unpredictable. You know, they're animals, so you know.
Yeah.
If they're not trained right, I guess they could just do what they wanted to at some point.
I grew up outside of Chicago, Loyd. There was no horses, so yeah. I guarantee you do more horses than I have.
My buddy Rick McCullum that is a stuntman, and we worked together for almost my whole career. We started working together on Lone Wolf McQuaid, Chuck Norris, back in
Chuck Norris.
Yeah, he's from Chicago too, so he said the same thing. I'll never do a horse stunt. I never even saw a horse.
Yeah, never saw horses.
Yeah, but yeah. So, and then there's a bunch of friends I've been talking to recently that have lots of memorabilia from the movies and stuff, and you know, different masks and everything. One of my friends that has a whole background, whenever I see a picture of all of the different collections of things that she has a stand-up of Derek Mears. Yes? You know who I'm talking about right now. Yes, you know I'm talking about you. A stand-up of Derek Mears. And I'm like, you're a big fan of mine, but you have a stand-up of Derek Mears? Come on. I just give people shit all the time. I just appreciate when people collect stuff from the movies, and people have amazing collections of different things. People have shown me that they have screen used items that I've used in different movies. And I was like, how'd you get that? I couldn't even get it. And
is there anything you kept from the movies?
Oh, everything I could. I kept all of my hero masks.
Nice.
Each movie, I kept weapons. I kept the Freddy glove from Jason Goes to Hell since I wore it. I tried to keep as much stuff as I could. And this is before people realized it was valuable. People weren't thinking back in the late 80s that, man, I'd like to have that because he just used it in the movie. It wasn't as big a deal as it has become. And now I'm sure, like Derek, I wonder if he was even able to keep a mask because they know how valuable that stuff is. And Kurzinger, I'm not sure if he was able to keep anything. Fortunately, I made it from the beginning. I said, if I play this character, I'm keeping the hero mask.
At that show in Chicago, you traded me a bunch of DVDs for a card that was in plexiglass.
Oh yeah,
with a trimming of one of the costumes.
Yep, I made those myself, so I know it's real. I kept like wardrobe, and like you said, I cut up little 1/2-inch square pieces, put them in with a picture of that costume, and then signed it and numbered them. And I don't have any more of those. I wish I did.
You might have actually traded me 2 or 3 of those. But
wow.
And I knew you were a horror fan because you picked out like a giant stack of horror movies off of our table.
You're right though. I mean, nowadays the prop market has got so insane. Anything that's screen used from, the 80s or 90s Friday 13th movies is astronomical in value, because I watch these auctions and I see people dumping tens of thousands of dollars. And like you were saying, 20 years ago, nobody would keep it. Nobody would want it. It's crazy to think how it's turned around.
And unfortunately, there are a lot of counterfeit things out there too that says screen used, and it comes with a certificate of authenticity. Well, if it doesn't come from the person that used it, I'm not sure I would invest a lot of money in that, because I just saw a picture of a machete that was screen used by me in part 7. And I always gave Beekler a hard time about the machetes that I used in part 7, because they were from Walmart or Kmart at the time. I don't know. They were just cheap little ones that you can buy anywhere. And I was like, couldn't you make me something more substantial? And, I saw one recently advertised that said it was from part 7. And I was like, I don't think it is, because it's not the handle that I remember using.
Yeah. Well, you would know.
You would know, yeah. It's a hard market, like you said.
Unless it was used in pickup shots or something, which is possible, because sometimes there's a couple shots in the movie where Jason's hand reaches down and picks something up, and I don't think it was my hand, because it was done in pickup after the fact. But
I can imagine a fan would be shattered if they spent a lot of money on something and you were like, no, that's not it. Sorry.
I know.
I know it
you
happens.
have to be wary of who is selling it. If it's not the person that used it or the person that built it for the movie, you got to be careful, man.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk to Kane all day, Loyd. He's got so many good stories. We really could.
So much. Well, we're getting close to the hour spot, so we don't want to keep you all day. But
Okay.
one thing I do want to ask you about before we let you go is Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw 3. So this kind of ties into that. You've played Freddy. We got to count that. The hand that comes up. You've played Jason. You've played, and you've also played Leatherface in a lot of stunts.
Right. And I stunt doubled RA in Chainsaw 3. And you have a lot of the cast coming to the show, right?
We do. Yeah. And that's why we have to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So RA is a good buddy of mine, and I stunt doubled him in a number of scenes, because, it wasn't that most of the scenes that I was Leatherface in were scenes where Leatherface has a real live chainsaw, and it's got a chain on it, and it's real. And it was more that, not that he couldn't do it or would be unsafe doing it, but it was more of a safety I don't know, like the safety officer would know if something happened, at least they went to the point of having a stunt person use the weapon. So it had nothing to do with RA's inability to use it safely, but it just covered the production's asses a little bit if they went the extra step and said, look, we did everything we could. We had to have a live chainsaw sometimes so it would sell. So it was more of a safety issue, not because he couldn't do it, but just more of a, covering their own asses. And I was happy to do it. I kept that Leatherface mask too, the one I wore.
Oh, wow.
I don't
Nice.
know. I can't remember if RA kept his, but I kept mine.
And what kind of condition is that in after all these years? I mean, we're talking about, this is 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, I unfortunately don't have it any longer. I let it go to a collector. And so I don't know what the condition is, but it was just latex, It looked like leather, but it was latex. And I would think it might have held up fairly well. And, you got Bill Butler in that movie and so many of my other friends. It was just a pleasure to work with everybody. And I recently revealed that the very first shot that I ever did as Jason in part 7, because obviously we know things are not shot chronologically. So the first time you see Jason in the movie could have been one of the last days of shooting. But the very first shot I ever did on film as Jason was holding Bill Butler up with a tent stake through his chest. And she has a vision, Tina has a vision of that. And that's the very first thing I ever did with the hockey mask on. Kind of a cool
Amazing
thing, yeah.
We just talked to Bill a couple of weeks ago. He was on our show, and he's a great guy. He really is.
Oh yeah, he's one of my good friends in the business because, he has been through some things himself, and I appreciate that, and he appreciates the things I got through. So he's a good buddy.
Well, it's amazing. We've got tons of viewers right now for you. We've got tons of comments. And They love you, Kane. The audience really does love you. And you've got such a loyal fan base.
Oh, I do. And I appreciate everybody. And I am just keeping my fingers crossed that Frightmare happens September 11th. Come out. I just talked to a new friend, a young man that's going through some cancer treatment right there in Dallas. So I told him if we have the show, I'd make arrangements for him and his family to come and see everything because it's such a fun experience. People that go to horror conventions already know how much fun it is, but just picture the fact that you're a horror fan and you can interact with all the people that you've been watching. So many of the people that you've been watching for years. It's just a great situation for us and them.
And it really is amazing, and it's kind of unique to the horror genre that everybody gets that chance. And it's because I've always said it, the horror community is a tight-knit family, all the way from, the directors and the actors all the way down to the fans. It really is that way.
Oh yeah. And what has happened in the recent 2 or 3 years, 2 or 3 times I've had people come up and be standing in front of me and they're fans, and they said they've been fans for their whole lives. And like, for instance, one guy I believe he was 35, and he shows me a picture of me holding him at a convention when he was an infant.
Oh, wow.
When he was less than a year old, I'm holding him, posing for a picture, and now he's standing in front of me 35 years later. That's
amazing.
Incredible. Yeah.
I forgot when I said that the first time I met you was at that convention, and that actually isn't true. The first time I met you was at the Screams Park in Waxahachie.
Oh, wow.
And that was I don't even, was that in the late 90s maybe, or?
Yeah, I think it was. I
had you sign the Fangoria issue with you on the cover without the mask, and
oh yeah,
it was. I remember being. I think you're probably one of the first celebrities that I ever really met. And when I was just starstruck, and I just kind of stood there and stared at you, and you were very talkative and smiling, and I was just like, I think you finally went, well, good to meet you.
Move along.
Yeah. See you later, kid.
Look at you now, Loyd. Look at you now.
Yeah.
And I see people that will say that the first time we met was at Spooky World, and that was in Berlin, Mass. And it was one of the first like spooky hayride attractions in the country. And I used to love going there. And that was like in the early 90s, I believe. And, you know, it was on a farm and kind of started everybody else in the theme park horror October idea. You know, and it was just so much fun. And one of the people that showed me a picture of me holding an infant, it was at Spooky World.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, Kane, thank you for such a great interview. Thank you.
You know, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you for the work you do, Loyd, with the convention, because it's a very difficult thing to pull off. And everybody thinks, oh, I'll do a convention. And it's way more difficult than anyone knows. And it's one of the favorite ones I do. So thank you. And I'll hopefully see you. And Charlie, you know, once again, great talking to you. And I'll say it again. You look like, oh, God, I'm spacing on his name now. Not Sloth. Don't worry. I'm not Sloth. But you look like Joe Netter.
Oh yeah. Do you know Joe Netter, Charles?
Oh, very well. I've known.
I know Joe Netter too.
You look like Netter. You look like Netter, but less psychotic.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
He's the same version of Joe Netter.
Well, thank you guys. I had a good time, and I look forward to seeing you in September.
Thank you
very much, Kane.
so much, and we look forward to seeing you too.
Thanks, guys, and see everybody there.
All right, sir. You have a good one.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What a great guy.
Yeah, he is great. He is great.
He's I don't know. He's so nice, and he is so appreciative of his fans, and that's just an amazing thing, and it's so good to see everybody. Thank y'all, everybody that's joined in today.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, we've got a huge watch today. Lots and lots of comments. So I think that this show was a hit, and I got to thank Kane and everybody for tuning in today with us.
Yep, I agree with you. And, you know, there's so much more we could have just kept talking to Kane about. There's so much more he worked on. It's just we don't got the time. I wish we did.
Fans, and so we have a million questions that we could ask him. And then I'm looking at all the comments, and there's so many questions and comments that I'd love to, go over, but there's just not enough time.
Yep. What else we have to do today?
So I have, we need to give away this.
Dick. We got to give away Dick Miller, guys.
Yep. And you got to forgive me because my wife kept reminding me to find a winner, and I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to do it live on the air with you right now.
We'll just roll it. As a reminder, I guess while we're waiting for that, join us tonight because we have a Twitch watch party. Twitch watch party at 7 Central Time. We're watching Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. 7 o'clock Central. It's free, but got to have a Twitch account, got to have a Prime account. We'll be doing this weekly. We'll probably keep doing it, but we just join on. We watch the movie with you guys. Me and Loyd slowly drink until we don't know what's going on anymore.
Get terribly goofy.
Yeah. And every Wednesday, we're doing Year in Horror. And I think we're up to 1983 now. So if you missed the other ones, they're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope. They're all around. So feel free to catch up on those. And I tend to give away a movie on those on Blu-ray, whatever one I feel like everybody needs to watch. I don't give you a choice. I just make you watch whatever I'm going to send you. So we have some good winners, though.
We do. And you gave away, what did you give away last week?
Gave away a Blu-ray copy of Beast Within and a Blu-ray copy of The Thing. So I don't know what I'm going to give away for 83, but I got some ideas.
Okay. Well, I do have a winner for the Dick Miller signed 8x10. And I just chose this randomly, chose the winner. The winner this week is Mickey.
Oh, you want a drum roll? Mickey Reed.
Mickey Reed. Boom.
Mickey Reed has won.
You are the winner. So, and to remind everybody, the way you win these signed 8x10s every Saturday is when you watch us, make sure you share. When you share our video, when you share this video that you're watching right now, then you will go into a drawing to be chosen randomly to win something.
Yep.
This week's 8x10, signed 8x10, is Barbara Crampton from Chopping Mall.
Chopping Mall.
Look at that.
It was one of the first. Was the first, second screening we did. Second screening we did was Chopping Mall.
Yeah. Friday the 13th was the original one, or the first one.
Cool.
And then we did this one. So make sure to share, please like and share. That helps us so much.
It does. If you're on YouTube, even if you watch this, please go into YouTube and give our videos a like, because it really helps us. Give it a like, give it a comment. We love to see comments. Helps us out a lot. But same with everything you're on. If you're on Twitch, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, watch it, like it, comments. We love comments. And generally we'll answer you most of the time.
Yeah, we do try to stay on top of replying to everything.
There's a lot on here. I know you guys throw a lot of comments up during the show, and I love that, so keep doing that. It's hard to get to them during the show, but I try to go back and read all these after the show and touch base with everybody. So cool to hear from everybody.
David, are you asking about Chopping Mall and how could you win this? I think that's what.
Well, if you're asking about those, after this, we'll give away the photograph next Saturday, and it'll be based on if you share this video. So anybody who shares this video, we'll take everybody's name and randomly select one. If you join us on Wednesday, we'll give away a random Blu-ray on Wednesday, and I just randomly give it away during the show on Wednesdays at some point.
Yeah, the movie giveaways are random during the show, but these 8x10s are just for sharing our videos and letting everybody know about us. And so, yeah, do that, and we appreciate it. What else, Charlie?
I think that's it. I mean, except for join us tonight. We'll be back on at 7, like I said, on Twitch. And we'll be back Wednesday for 1983, The Year in Horror, which we're working on right now. Yep. And that's kind of what we got.
That's what we got, and that's where we're headed. So I think we could go ahead and sign off at this point. Charles, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And my name is Loyd Cryer. We're with Frightmare HQ, and I'm here with
Charles Doze. And thanks again, everybody. If you're watching it later, thanks again for watching it later.
Thanks in advance for watching later. All right.
Thanks in advance for watching later.
We'll see y'all on Twitch tonight. Bye-bye.